works.
Well, plus too, if an alarm goes off or something happens, and you have to look at your pump, then you're
Find your glasses.
Find your glasses, or you have to put the light on. Now you're up.
Yeah.
Project on the wall.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
Can you have more than one outpost? Like, can you wire, like, have outposts everywhere so your whole house is wired?
So with the system, it's a 1-to-1. So it's one outpost to one monitor. So it's a one system to one pump.
Does that mean it's today? Okay.
Today, exactly.
It seems like it would be. You know, or some crazy signal, but I mean, if not, that would be.
And again, to Greg's point earlier, I mean, this is the way it's currently set up, but we're looking and trying to identify how can we make it so that it's whole house, so it's mobile, so you can monitor someone maybe who's playing soccer, so your child who's playing soccer, and you know you want to see what's going on because. So there's your alarm clock alarm. So I know that's not as fun as if it was a low or if it was a high, so we could actually see, but. What will happen here is it'll do the exact same tone that you hear on the pump. So any tone that you would hear for a low threshold, for a rate of change, for our predictive alerts, that's the exact same tone that will be mimicked on the pump, just at a higher volume. And so you can clear it from here, but that won't actually clear the alarm It'll just clear it for 1 minute because the alarm will be sent to the mySentry every 1 minute until you clear it on the pump. So you have to actually clear the alarm on the insulin pump for it to go away on the mySentry.
That's a safety feature.
Exactly. And so to Carrie's point, that's really a safety feature because, I mean, there's a bunch of different things. I mean, I know.
Because we hit snooze alarms and don't get up, basically.
There you go. So. As you can see, and then we've now cleared, and so you'll be able to see that it's going, and it'll show you the arrows on this screen too, so you can see at what rate you're dropping, and especially if you have the store pumps, you have rate of change on there, you can really identify that.
Can you turn him up? I'm getting nervous with him being so low like
Absolutely.
that.
we gotta turn him up.
We're all gonna experience lows by us.
We have to turn him up slowly because what we're using here is it's a simulator, and so it'll move a little bit slower, and it is transmitted every 5 to 7 minutes. So he'll move up slowly, and I promise I'll get him back into safe range.
So you can hear the high alarm later and interrupt Matt.
Definitely.
What is his threshold that he's not alarming?
So it should be alarming, which is what I think may have happened is that I may not have set the threshold on this pump, and so if I didn't set the threshold, then you wouldn't have anything. So that's why we're not alerting just yet. But
Use your error.
Exactly.
Well, you know, it might be a good idea to have sort of a default already pre-programmed in there, you know?
That's actually true, because if you forget to set it, it's kind of
or if you don't know how to set it, you're still learning it, you know.
No, that's a really great point.
But there's one parent who's technically savvy, like, because my sister isn't, her husband, one of her kids, but
No,
she can't even put the cables in the computer. Seriously.
So, you know, going back to kind of what George asked, and I saw Mark got up from the bus that hit him. Is it conceivable that at some point you might go to the FDA and say, hey, we would like to transmit this data from mySentry to an app?
To my iPhone.
To you know, wherever the person chooses to point that information, whether they share it to, you know, a single cell phone or multiple cell phones or, you know,
text message.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
this alarm just
it starts screaming at everybody you tell it to scream at, and it doesn't talk to.
So I'm actually going to let Matt answer that. He's really involved in that.
I can give you my answer, then Mark can tell you maybe the official answer. We certainly are interested in that. The use cases around this type of maybe remote alert are actually many and very varied. And as you talk to lots of different patients, you sort of identify maybe key areas that people are keenly interested in. And so we're going to talk about that actually at our very next session, which is what are those sweet spots that you really want Medtronic to focus on in terms of where would you really like to see solutions that help. So it could be
what's the difference between this and additional secondary displays? And they were very receptive to that. So we need to figure out the technology, how to get that done. FDA, has a process that we'll need to go through, of course, but there's not anything they seem to be overly concerned about as you're not controlling the pump from your secondary display. You just want to see your kids. They're very comfortable with that, and how we do that and the data integrity between all of those transfers is what they're concerned about. So we just need to get that done.
So is that a change in their attitude that, you know, they're not concerned about secondary displays as long as it doesn't control the pump? Because in the past, I thought that part of the problem of getting the secondary display out was they didn't even know how to consider the secondary display and were afraid that people would see the secondary display and then make therapeutic choices based on the secondary display, and you know, they were kind of freaky about it.
And that's why it was important to get the mySentry approved first. You know, we went through the process. It wasn't a short process to get mySentry through FDA, which I think you're all aware of. I'm sure you've heard about this device more than in January when we launched it, right? A little further back than that. So it was a process to get through there, and we went through a lot of questions and answers with the agency on that. But now that we've done that, put all that work in, we're able to leverage a lot of those decisions that they've made already. So it's important that we got this one out. To me, from a regular perspective, this was huge because it answered a lot of questions that they had. And you know, like I said, we did have to do a lot of extra work that we weren't anticipating, but we did it, and it's going to pay off as we go forward.
Are you seeing any reimbursement